This indoor swap meet ended up being absolutely huge, but let's talk about the goal of this video, and that is Xbox 360 games. I've got a list here of a few types of games I want to pick up, but we can talk about that later. Let's get out to the swap meet. Like I said, this swap meet was huge. This first booth that I wandered over to had a ton of games on the table. And yes, there were some Xbox 360 games here, which is great because that's what I'm looking for. But unfortunately, even though they did have a bunch of games here, there was nothing I had to grab for the Xbox 360. A little amiibo here to the side, so I kind of left this booth pretty quickly and continued on to this booth that actually had a ton of different games. You can see there's PS4 games, PS2 games, PS3 games, even these demos, which I thought were pretty interesting. PS2 games back here. And then we have a little bit of PlayStation at the top, as well as Xbox One games here in this next booth. And then I saw the Xbox 360 games, and I made my way through this booth because they definitely had some stuff that caught my eye, and I know I was going to buy at least something from this booth, if the prices were right, of course. So I kind of kept looking here and there. I got to this next box here that had games, and there were loose games there, but nothing I wanted. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of picking up loose games, especially loose discs. But then I kind of looked through their Xbox 360 section a little bit more, and I found some good stuff. I thought about getting this Fast and the Furious game, but it was a little bit overpriced, so I didn't need it, but it would have been good for the racing thing that we'll talk about later. But I did end up getting both of these for $25, which I definitely thought was a great way to start this video off, because I've got two games from two different categories that I want to talk about. I've got a list here of categories of games I want to find. I want to find shooters, racing games, action games, story-driven games, and a miscellaneous game. And shockingly, these first two games actually mark off two games. Starting off with Minecraft Story Mode, The Complete Adventure. This is a Telltale game series. This is what I'm considering a story-driven game, which is on the list at the very bottom, so I'm glad to cross that off with this game. But I also picked up Sonic Unleashed, which I'm gonna count as an action game, but comment down below if you agree with that or not. I ended up paying $25 for both of these, and they are complete, and Minecraft Story Mode is worth about $15 in that condition, and Sonic Unleashed is also worth about $15 in that condition. So not only did I get to mark them off the list, I actually saved about $5 in getting both of these together. But there's more games on this list that we need to pick up, so let's get back to the swap meet. So I continued on hunting here, and I wandered through the stalls of this indoor swap meet, and I ended up finding this booth right here that did have a bunch of games here that caught my eye. Even this Minecraft shirt was pretty cool, but nothing I had to have. This next booth is my buddy Nick's booth, and even though he did have a bunch of stuff, there was not any Xbox 360 games here that I was trying to buy, unfortunately. I did see a green case, but nothing here for the Xbox 360 that I needed, so I kind of looked around a little bit more, but ultimately didn't end up getting anything from him. And then I stumbled across this booth that had a few games here. I didn't really figure anything of it, but then I saw Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 for $12. So I ended up asking if they would take this game for $10 instead of $12. And thankfully, they actually ended up taking that offer for this game, because this is worth about $25 complete. But it also means I can mark off a game for the miscellaneous. Now, I don't know if this should have counted as an action one or a miscellaneous, but we'll just put it in miscellaneous for now. Then I stumbled into this booth that had $2 video games, and there was a bunch of green cases here, and I tried to find an Xbox 360 game that was worth $2 that wasn't beat up and wasn't damaged heavily, but unfortunately I just couldn't find an Xbox 360 game here. However, right next to it, I did find a bunch of controllers, but they were in some really, really rough condition as well. So I passed on those and continued on where I ended up upon this table that had a few Xbox 360 games here to the right, as well as some Xbox One games, a few Wii games, even some PlayStation 1 games as well there. But I ended up grabbing Blur for the Xbox 360 here down at the end towards the right. They had a sticker on it for $45, but I bought another game with it and they ended up selling this to me for $25, which is totally awesome considering this game on price charting is going for around $32 currently, and we can mark off another thing from the list. That being the racing game, which is totally awesome because not only did I add a game I've actually been wanting to play, but I also got to save some money in the process and mark another game off the list. Then I continued on this huge swap meet. I wandered across this table that had Xbox 360 games on it, but honestly, the ones I was interested in I already have, and the rest I just wasn't interested in at all. Then I'm counting this one as Xbox 360 related because they had a complete in box, I guess you could say box, Guitar Hero strap here for $35. I'm gonna call that Xbox 360 related. There weren't any more games here that were 360 related though, so I continued on where I made it to the owner of the Oklahoma Gaming Frenzies booth. If you've never been or you've never heard about it, this is about to be the second one, and I went to the first one. It was absolutely amazing. So you gotta check this thing out. If you've never been before, you definitely should. If you're in the area, come check it out. Then I made my way to the Xbox 360 section. There was a guy standing over here in the way, and I was waiting for him to move. And then I got to digging, and I ended up finding some good stuff. The first thing I ended up grabbing was this Guitar Hero Van Halen game. They had it marked for $25. We'll talk about how much I paid for it in a second, but I had to continue on here, and I was out here just looking for another shooter. I don't have a shooter on this list yet. It's part of the Xbox 360 list, so I was really trying to find one. I found Army of Two, but I actually already have this one, so I put it back. I just couldn't find any shooters for the Xbox 360 that I didn't have in my collection already, which was kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. While I was here, I went ahead and looked at the Xbox original games, because why not? Maybe I'll end up finding something, but unfortunately, I didn't, but I did end up grabbing a Guitar Hero Van Halen for $20 instead of $25. I bought a few other games and got a bundle, and this boiled down to $20, which is totally awesome because if you look this up on price charting, it is worth about $25, and I don't have this one, so even though I wasn't able to find a shooter, I was definitely glad that I ended up grabbing this one, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark a line through it and write Guitar Hero on it instead. Which means with this game, we can actually mark it off. So with that game, we are complete on the listing, even though I did change it a little bit on the fly there. But overall, this swap meet ended up being absolutely awesome. I added 5 new Xbox 360 games to my collection that I didn't have already. Honestly, saving $5 at that first booth with these two made it definitely awesome. I've got to play these games because I've never played, quite frankly, actually there's some here. I haven't played these two games. Then I ended up finding Ultimate Alliance 2, which I have played. This game is actually a ton of fun. Going back and playing this is awesome. And then I've been looking at Blur for a while now. The price of Xbox 360 games has been going up, so I wanted to grab this for a decent price before it went crazy. And then last but not least, of course, Guitar Hero Van Halen. I don't have this one for the Xbox 360, so when I saw this, I figured I'd have to grab it. But what do you think? Was this worth going to the swap meet in order to find 5 Xbox 360 games that I don't have in my collection for a really good deal? Or do you think I could have found better games in these certain genres for the Xbox 360? Whatever you think, comment down below and let me know. But I'm going to get out of here, so check out that video out if you haven't already. But honestly, these are really good games that I didn't have for the 360, and I'm glad to add them, and I can't wait to play them. So I think this ended up being a win for me from the indoor swap meet. But what do you think? Comment down below. But I'm getting out of here, so check that video out if you haven't already.